our featured program, I have the honor of introducing another of Georgia's incredibly influential leaders. She is someone who's also shaping the lives of our kids, but in this case, doing so through the topic of education. As President and CEO of the Georgia Lottery Corporation, Gretchen Corbin oversees the second largest lottery organization in the country and the sixth largest in the world. Over its 25 years, the Georgia Lottery has allocated $23 billion to support Georgia's students. It has provided more than 1.9 million Hope scholarships, allowed 1.6 million four-year-olds to attend Georgia pre-K programs, and provided $1.8 billion in resources to support Georgia's schools and technology. When Gretchen was named President and CEO in 2018, I think it recognized in many ways one of her great gifts, which is her ability to bring together all the different pieces of this state to achieve progress. Gretchen was born in Athens. She grew up in Cedartown. She spends part of her time in Rome, Georgia, and she's also part of a fifth generation of her family who has lived within about 3 or 4 blocks of Piedmont Park. So she knows Atlanta, but she also knows Georgia. Gretchen also understands all of Georgia's students. In a prior chapter, she oversaw the technical college system of Georgia, while also serving in leadership roles on boards for the University of Georgia and for Georgia Tech. She also has a global view of Georgia. In a prior chapter, she served leadership roles with the state, where she worked closely with the Consular Corps, promoting global business for Georgia. She even opened a Georgia office in Beijing, and she also has pursued a whole series of initiatives in workforce training to allow us to become a more competitive state. In many ways, we are so fortunate to have in Gretchen a leader who has brought together all of our communities and our students, our business, and our education, all to do things to make us a better state. Please join me in welcoming Gretchen Corbin.
Well, Katharine, that was a kind introduction, and I feel really good today, so thank you very much. You made me feel great. But isn't it interesting? I was so excited to be here in my own home Rotary Club today, and I am very excited. And it really had me reflecting, Cannon, about just kind of leadership in general and how we need each other and how Paul Harris pulled us together around the table with just a few businessmen many, many years ago to just support one another in business. And then I came here today and I got to see all of my Leadership Atlanta 2020 friends, and then everyone in the room who I just think the world about. And then Katharine, to hear that kind introduction and to realize all of those kind things that you said about me would have never been possible without the likes of Ken Stewart and with Glenn Cornell. Glenn, is that you? Did you sneak in the room? And there's Ken, of course, and so many more of individuals who I have worked with who have really just kind of provided me with those incredible opportunities, Katharine. So thank you for those incredible words. But I'm very humbled by the individuals that I've had the ability to spend my career with and the individuals that I spend my career with today. The educators of our higher institutions in this club, whether at Emory, whether at Clark Atlanta, whether at Morehouse, whether at Georgia Tech, whether at Atlanta Technical College, from those individuals to individuals who have made the Georgia Lottery possible. Leaders like Veronica Biggins, who was one of our chairs of the Georgia Lottery. Keith Mason, who was a part of making sure that the Georgia Lottery came to be when he was in the administration of Governor Miller, and so many more. I'm very humbled to be here today, to be really the steward of your Georgia Lottery. And the exciting part of today is your Georgia Lottery is doing incredibly well and continues to serve students daily and more students. And so today I thought I would just kind of talk about 3 things. Pretty easily, an update on the Georgia Lottery, as well as what to take back to your friends and family. What's new with the Georgia Lottery? And then as well, a couple of thoughts quickly on leadership. And so, for a quick update, I want to bring to you our fiscal year 21 results. I don't know if you were here, but I had the honor of being at this club presenting before the pandemic in regards to the success of Georgia Lottery. And we have continued to be successful, and whether it's me or one of my predecessors, you will probably say, Gretchen, y'all are always talking about your success. Well, that's because we're very proud of it. And we've been successful for every year that we've been in existence, and we've grown every year except 2 over our previous years. Think about that. A company whose revenues and the returns to its stakeholders have grown every year without 2. Eric, I see you out there. Thank you for all that you've done to make the Georgia Lottery possible. And Katharine said, Gretchen, what are a couple of insider things you can tell us about the lottery that other people wouldn't know if they weren't in this room today? Well, I can't tell you the numbers. But probably the biggest piece of success, to be the 2nd largest lottery in the United States, and that's based on per capita sales, or the 6th largest lottery in the world. And when you look at those top 10s throughout the world, there are only 2 states. The others are countries. I, as a Georgian, have an incredible Georgia Lottery. And at the end of the day, the secret sauce is pretty simplistic. And it's the way we were developed through our statute to be a corporation for the benefit of the state of Georgia. It's really simple, isn't it, Eric? Governor Miller said we want to keep the best and brightest in Georgia. We are going to do this by catching our students very early in pre-K and giving them the best that pre-K can deliver. And by keeping them in Georgia, by making sure that when our best and brightest are going through their Georgia high schools and they have the ability to go anywhere in the United States or the world for their higher education, that they will choose to go to a Georgia institution. Because I, as Governor Miller, think that that's great for Georgia, it's important for Georgia, and I can see that in the future, our Georgia companies and our Georgia communities will benefit as a result. So this is my test to see if Governor Miller's vision worked. If you are a Hope Scholar, please stand up. I missed it too by a couple. Oh, you did it. You're young. All right. Okay. No, stay up if you don't mind. Stay standing, please. What is your name? JP James. JP, where'd you go to school? Georgia Tech. Tell us about yourself. Tell us about high school. How'd you make that decision, and what have you done with that Great Hope Scholarship?
So mine was a little bit different because I was born and raised in Pittsburgh, and my dad came down here to run Kraft Nabisco as it got merged, and I came here, became an in-state, and then went to Georgia Tech and got the scholarship, and it helped out. That was able to take care of all of my educational needs, and I was able to get a few other scholarships, which got me into entrepreneurship, and fast forward a couple decades, here I am.
And now you're part of the Atlanta Rotary community, making a big difference. Thank you for telling your story, JP, and kind of that passes over to Ken Stewart as Commissioner of the Department of Economic Development. One of the little nuggets of the Georgia Lottery that, if you're not in the inside ballgame, Katharine, that you might not see, is that sometimes it's a very important recruiting tool. It's a very important recruiting tool for businesses coming to Georgia Herald for 2 reasons. And the first is executives are smart, and sometimes they can think about themselves. And when you're at the table and you're talking to someone who has middle schoolers and high schoolers, Jim Reed, I see you shaking your head. And you have the ability to say, come to Georgia instead of another state, and your students, your children, and the children of anyone else that you bring to the state after being here for 2 years has the ability to receive this Hope Scholarship. They're like, wait, what? What did you say about any business? And forget the business incentives, we're in. Happened often, didn't it, Ken? And then the other piece of that, from an economic development prospect, is the fact that Georgia is different. When we think about the Hope Scholarship going for students and going for education outside of K through 12, that isn't typical. There are a couple of states in the union that have done that, but they are few and far between. And I think when we're in Georgia, we don't necessarily remember that. We think maybe because of the way our lottery operates, that other lotteries' beneficiaries are also pre-K and Hope students. It's not the case. A couple of states it is. But again, Zell Miller had seen what happened in Florida. And in Florida, they had said the same thing, that your Hope Scholarship will go for just that. The Florida residents found that some of the lottery dollars were going to K through 12 and that the general budget had just kind of been pushed to the side. So instead of using K through 12, general budget dollars for K through 12. And so that was a piece of our statute, wasn't it, Eric? That the lottery funds would never supplant any education dollars that were already being spent in Georgia, but that it would only supplement. And I bring that to you today because Governor Miller kept that promise, but every Georgia governor and legislator between Governor Miller to Governor Kemp has kept that promise. And so, as the steward, as the president and CEO of the corporation, when I look around and think, what makes us different? That is a really big piece. And so a big kudos and a big thank you on behalf of this parent to the governor. JP, correct? Getting back to you, go ahead and stand up. You just distracted me for 2 seconds. But the reason I asked you to stand up is because I wanted to ask our students to stand up, and then I wanted to ask any of us who are parents, and I have a college sophomore now, and more importantly, Hope Scholar. Any of us who are parents of Hope Scholars, please stand up as well.
What about grandchildren?
I'm getting to you. So congratulations to the parents, and to the grandparents, please join us as well. This is when you know it works. And then, also keep standing, Keith. And then think about this. Who of you are employers who have had employees who have been Hope Scholars or pre-K beneficiaries? This thing, the Georgia Lottery, has worked, and it has touched all of you who are standing, and I would suspect even those of us who are sitting. It has or it will touch you as well. So thank you very much. I love being at a local Rotary Club, asking that question, because it makes me feel like, okay, we continue to be on that right track. Guys, fiscal year 21 was the most successful fiscal year in the 28-year history, with a record $1.54 billion being returned to the state of Georgia. To put this into perspective, 5 years ago, we first returned $1 billion to the state of Georgia. Our first year, we returned a little over $300 million to the state, and we've grown every year since. We all know, and I know, we all know that there was more money in the market last year. But what I know is that my team stood up and met that demand. Whether it was the individual who was pulling together the product, whether it was our vendors, Scientific Games in Atlanta, whether it was UPS making sure that we made our delivery, whether it was Racetrack, with everyone making sure that we had our product in hand to provide to our player when they wanted to use the Georgia Lottery as their entertainment. We were there. We didn't miss that opportunity. And what we saw, I think if you were to put the Georgia Lottery right up to Home Depot, my guess is our sales followed track. The beginning of March, I was panicked. I was calling everybody saying, hold on, hold the fort, praise God we have a reserve. I'll be back in a couple of weeks. Within 2 weeks, when Georgians were sheltered in place, we had two incredible things happen in Georgia. The first was, of course, that our retailers were essential businesses. Our players had the opportunity to go to their retailers and purchase where they desired. The second was your Georgia Lottery had an online presence. And I think I encouraged you the last time I was here to look at your Georgia Lottery app, to download it, to have it at hand. We've just updated over the last month, so please do it again. That piece where you would probably think, well, just like I can buy Starbucks online and Jenna, I can go to SunTrust and Truist online, surely I can go to any lottery in the nation online. You couldn't. Before the pandemic, we were 1 to 5 to 7 states. We had spent years prior making sure that we had an online presence so that our players could play when they wanted to. But I cannot tell you how thankful I was for the leadership that came before me when I sat there in March, Georgians sheltered in, that they had the ability to play online. And so again, I think it speaks to leadership. And what those leaders 10 to 15 years ago saw before me, and then what my responsibility, Donna, when you're building a hospital is for that next generation. So what do we see going forward? Well, again, $1.54 billion transferred to the Georgia Lottery for education. This brought our total raised for education in Georgia to more than $23.8 billion, as Katharine mentioned. And again, being here this week, I'm happy to share with you that last week, Georgia Student Finance called me and they said, Gretchen, we just sent our HOPE proceeds to the 2 millionth HOPE beneficiary representative. One student, think about that. There is a family who received their tuition statement. There was a credit there for HOPE. They were the 2 millionth HOPE beneficiary student. It works. And I will tell you, my daughter is at UGA, International Affairs, Ken. She's trying to follow in Ken Stewart and my footsteps. I've tried to lay this out. There's some things that it's not as easy as it looks. But as the technical college, or as the former technical college commissioner, when I get excited about a HOPE scholarship, I get excited about the student who had no idea how they were going to afford college and then figured out that there was a HOPE career grant that would provide 100% of their tuition. Who said to me when I met them, I've always wanted to go to college, but I can't get my mother to fill out my financial aid form. That's the student I think about. And that's the student I get excited about. And that's the student that line them up every day. I will be there with any Georgian to teach them how to apply, to teach them about the HOPE career grant at a technical college, the HOPE scholarship at an institution like a Georgia Tech, the Zell Miller scholarship at any of our institutions. I will be that person because it changes lives, JP, and it changes communities forevermore. The young man that I was talking about, that I came across in a Waffle House one night after a Friday football game, he said, I really want to be a lineman. And I said, this is awesome. We are going to the local technical college, and matter of fact, we'll pick you up next Monday, and I had someone there, and they picked them up next Monday. And we are going to fill out your application, and we are going to get your HOPE career grant, and you are going to go into the Georgia Power Company's lineman's program, and you are going to come out making $50,000. is there anyone in your family who makes $50,000? He said, no, ma'am. And I said, well, you're changing your family, and you're going to be the next individual to change the next generation in your family. And so, I'm sorry, I get a little passionate about this subject. Pat said, Gretchen, you're going to do good today because you love this. I get a little passionate about my subject because sometimes when I'm talking to players, it's about the big Mega Million and the Powerball. I placed a Mega Million coupon, and I did that because it's over 300 million. So for those of you who say 20 million is just not enough, Lanny, I got to go for 300 million, it's your time. So please use your buy two, get one free, and know that you are going to be providing for that next Hope Scholar, for that next GED grant scholar as well. So very quickly, also want to make sure that I state where the Georgia Lottery dollar goes, because I think this is important. Out of every dollar, 96 cents goes back to Georgia in the area of, again, education, in the area of prizes, retailers, and operating expenses. Prizes is 63%, and as you can imagine, that's our product, Betsy. We have to sell it. So 63% is prizes. Education is 26.6%. Our retailers by statute earn 5.9%. Think about this, over 80% of small businesses throughout Georgia, and the Allgood family knows Georgia. And when you think about those 159 counties and our small businesses of retailers, they received in one given year $342 million. Vendors, scientific games, individuals like IGT who make us run, they receive 2%, and the Georgia Lottery, we run on less than 1.6% of expenses for the Georgia Lottery. $0.96 to every Georgia community. As an old economic developer, I get excited about that too. We spend a lot of time running around the world, and we'll always do so, Ken, right? To call on companies to come to Georgia, to expand companies in every Georgia county. And if we would have ever said to Georgia, hey, we've got a company that will come to every 159 counties, and they will invest more than $50 million in each one of your counties over the next 20 years, what we have done, Ken? Eric, what would you have done when you're in the governor's office? Oh my gosh, I don't know what we would have done. But that's what was created through the Georgia Lottery. And so I get really passionate about it. When you go back to your communities, or when you go back to your business, when you go back to your families, I just want to ask you to take with you what I've told you today. It's really simple. Your Georgia Lottery is a big deal. It's a big deal. As the 6th largest lottery in the world, you know what my job is? To never mess it up, to keep it going forward, to grow it, and to never, ever mess it up. We know that our students depend on us. As I mentioned, all governors have kept their promise and will continue to do so. So those of our players, anyone who wins, I have to tell you, there have been many a millionaire that has been created through the Georgia Lottery. And we even go by quarters. And in a given quarter, we'll talk about anywhere from 3 to 15 millionaires that were created. I don't know if any of those of you are in the room today, but there is always today and there's always tomorrow. So if you play, I want to encourage you to continue playing to win. But if you don't play, and if you're one of those individuals who casually says to me, you can imagine what some people say to me, and there's so many things I want to say back. Like, I spend my dollar on too many Starbucks. I spend my dollar sometimes on too many Netflix. If someone wants to spend $3 enjoying a game, it's their choice. And thankfully, hopefully they'll win. If they don't, a student will, and maybe it'll be your student. That's what I get excited about. And so I would encourage you, if you have a friend who plays, tell them go for it. The Georgia Lottery's adding more games. Powerball's gone to 3 days, I hope you've noticed. Mega Millions, Power, they're both over 300. Cash 3 and Cash 4 can now be played on your app. But again, if you ever talk to the individual, or if you are that individual who respectfully says, you know, I'm not so interested in gaming, I can take that if you tell me that in another state. But when you are in Georgia, and every dollar that goes to education, and I will also say every unclaimed dollar goes straight to the education account, feel that you can invest in education. If you really don't like it, go ahead and play, and if you win, don't claim your prize. We'll send it straight to education. So again, very quickly, going back to leadership, I just want to say that this year, although it's been the best in lottery history for returns, and I can tell you so many incredible stories about our team members, as I'm sure you can, it's still been a tough year, hasn't it? It's been a tough year for all of us, for our organizations, for our family members, for our team members. But you're the glue that holds it together. You're the leadership of Atlanta. And when I go into work every day, I think, I wish everyone was in my car today to encourage me, because being with you encourages me. And I think to myself, what would Jenna tell me? What would Eric tell me? What would my friends tell me? What would everybody tell me? And I think, Bob Hope, what would you tell me? And I think it would be every day as you go in, we've got to be the leaders for our teams. What did I learn from Ken Stewart? Show up for your team. They're following us to smile, Donna, to do our best, to meet our goals, to be there for our individuals. And I just want to say that as I've traveled these last 18 months, whether it was in a program today, like today, whether it was watching through Zoom, Cannon, thank you so much for making those possible, whether it was being on a committee meeting call with David, with Billy, with Jenna, Rotary sometimes was my home. And I want to thank you personally as a leader for standing by me while I was leading the Georgia Lottery during this time period. And I just want you to know that as I travel through this world and I think back on this time, I'll think of all of you. So thank you for being my friends and my families and my leaders. And I hope that if there's ever anything that I can do for you in your daily life, in your business life, that you will call on me. Because Cannon, going back to when I joined Rotary in 1998, I remember a very simple story, and that again was of Paul Harris developing Rotary, basically saying, I want to build a table of colleagues who we can just get together and get some advice from, best practices, and I can go back and use when I'm leading my team. And so I want to thank this Atlanta Rotary Club. Katharine, thank you. Cannon, thank you. And everybody here for being beside my side while I led the Georgia Lottery to $1.5 billion to the state. Georgia couldn't have done it without you, and we couldn't have done it without everybody supporting us. So thank you very much. Well, and that said, if ever I bet you didn't even know you helped me, did you? Or that you were by my side or in my thoughts so much, but you were. And so if ever I can help you, I hope that you will always call on me as a colleague and as a friend.